Hola, ¿qué tal amigos hispanos? Bienvenidos al quinto podcast de Talking About Kennett Square. Hoy Kyle Coleman estará acompañado de Samantha Ferraro y estarán respondiendo importantes preguntas que tú debes conocer. Así que vamos con la ronda de preguntas.
Sure. So, I'm Kyle Coleman. Continuing with this series, I'm the Borough Manager for Kennett Square. I've been here since mid-September. Continuing again here with this series, it's been a lot of fun. Really appreciate, being able to hear questions from the public. Hopefully, we've answered them well. I know it's given us some things to work on. I came here in September from spending 5 years in Florida in city government there. And so far, it's been a really good time spent here. I'm here with Samantha, one of our council members.
Yeah. And I'm Sam Ferraro. I have been on Borough Council since January, so relatively new still. I have lived in the borough for about 3-ish years, but I lived in West Grove before that, so not far down Route 1. And I'm just really excited to be here and have this opportunity to chat and answer some of everyone's questions.
Pregunta número 1. ¿Cuáles son los eventos programados para este verano en Kennett Square?
Yeah. So right now we actually have a lot of unique stuff coming up that we're really excited about. One of which that's kind of a continuation of previous years is Third Thursdays. We've kind of backed them down a little bit just because the threat of COVID is less present than it was, still there, but a little bit less. And so we are, still doing Third Thursdays, and we're really excited about that. There's Summerfest coming up as well. That will be an opportunity for people to try out local wineries and distilleries, I believe. I think there's wine and cheese tastings and pairings, and a lot of cool stuff going on there. Longwood still has their summer programs and things if people want to look into that. I believe the Wine and Jazz Fest is coming up, and that's a really cool thing. Juneteenth is coming up as well. That's a really cool opportunity for people to go out. I think Longwood Gardens is hosting some things there. I believe Lincoln University has some stuff, as well as the Creamery, so that's a really unique opportunity as well. The Memorial Day Parade is coming up too. So there's a lot of things coming up here. I believe there's a cleanup coming up, not this upcoming weekend, but the following. So there's that to check out as well. And then Clover Market too. That's a really cool, seller's market. There's unique handmade things there. So, really cool. And I believe that's down at 600 South Broad, right?
It is. And you covered so many of them. On that note, there's actually going to be a library, arts festival the weekend before, so it'll be kind of this week of art at 600 South Broad, which is interesting and new. There's also the Kennett Flash summer series, summer concert series, and the challenge is that it feels like every organization in Kennett realizes that the eagerness of people to have some events, to have outdoor planning. So I'm sure we didn't cover all of them there.
Another thing to add to with the concert series, I believe they have a free one as well that's at Anson B. Nixon. I think that is on the 15th at 7 p.m., so that's a really cool one too because it's free and it's at the park.
Pregunta 2. ¿Este año habrá alguna ayuda financiera post-pandemia para los residentes de Pensilvania?
Sure. So recently the federal process has begun kind of the second bucket of ARPA funding, and ARPA is essentially the stimulus package funding, the original stimulus from a couple of years ago. The borough got the initial portion, which every city did. We didn't get funding yet through the second portion, but I think it highlights a really good, a really important piece for the borough. So we're trying to shift our focus, put resources into it, spend money on it, really focus on going after grants. Because in the past we've gotten some, but I think it can be a greater focus for us, just to try to invest in the infrastructure of our town. Because to me, when you walk through town, you should be really proud of the streets and the sidewalks and the buildings and what it means to live in the borough.
Pregunta 3. ¿Cuándo habrá construcciones de viviendas para familias de bajos ingresos en Kennett Square?
Yep. So I think this was mentioned in a prior one of these podcasts, but Red Clay Manor is up, I believe, by Country Butcher. That is there for, I think you said it was mixed price point. That is for senior citizens. So that is there as an available option now. The goal is to continue bringing affordable housing in. I think that council has made that a pretty big focus point for us. It's really important to get that affordable housing that is inclusive and covers a lot of different walks of life. And so that is our big goal. Obviously we have things coming up with the NVF plant. We're a little bit soon in that to really know where that's going at the moment, but it would be our hope to have some of that there as well.
Pregunta 4. Vimos que el jueves pasado las calles estaban cerradas. ¿Pueden explicar cuáles son las actividades que ocurren durante estos cierres y durante cuánto tiempo cerrarán las calles todos los jueves?
Absolutely. So the street closings are for Third Thursday, and we're really excited because council is trying to make those a little bit more inclusive than maybe they had been in the past, and kind of expanding what the programming is that's being offered. Normally in the past it's been restaurants opening as well as shops and things. And this past one we had some vendors. Some food trucks have come out, which has been a really nice kind of new addition. Kennett Collaborative usually has a really great map a couple days beforehand that shows kind of what is going to be where on the streets. Just trying to get more people involved, as many people as possible. There's balloon art for the kids and music, and it's just a really great opportunity. I believe hours-wise, I think it's 5:30 to 9. The streets are closed down, and I know that our first one was this past Thursday. I don't remember specifically how long it goes until. I think it's until fall, but.
No, that's right, and it's a thank you to Kennett Collaborative, who does a lot of the planning on it. As well as Karma, who's the Retail Merchants Association there. They really are trying to program this, make it an event bigger than it's been in the past, have more offerings than it has in the past. And so far, I've gotten pretty good feedback on it. Certainly, people watching, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on it. But yeah, it feels like we're trying to do things, we're trying to improve on things that are already seen as positives.
Yeah, and just to echo Kyle there, as far as feedback goes, we always welcome that as a council. I think it helps us get better about what people want to see, what they're really enjoying, what they would like more of, if there's, businesses out there that we could get involved more. So things like that, if people have thoughts and things on those situations, we would love to hear about it. So via email or calling or however you want to reach out, but we would love to hear feedback and thoughts.
Pregunta 5, muy importante. ¿Saben algo sobre la viruela del mono? ¿Creen que es algo de lo que debemos preocuparnos?
Yeah, so definitely not a healthcare expert, but I do think knowledge is power when it comes to things like that, and I think being as educated as possible. I know right now the CDC has a lot of really good information on their website just about what the symptoms are, things like swollen lymph nodes, fevers, things like that. But I think, again, just looking at that website and getting the information there is really important, just to arm ourselves with as much education. We as a borough defer to the CDC on guidelines. I don't think there's anything out there yet about, initial steps that we need to be taking right now, but, we're certainly mindful of it and aware that it's out there, and that it's something that, we're just going to keep an eye on as more information comes out. We plan to keep an eye on that.
That's exactly it. Listen to the experts and take what they have to say seriously.
Pregunta 6. Hay mucha curiosidad por saber si en el futuro existe un plan para construir una universidad en Kennett Square. ¿Es una idea que ustedes tienen?
So I haven't heard of any plans. I think, at first thought that it would probably be welcomed here. But the big question is, where is the space for that? So I think that would be the main challenge of it. The positive for us is that we are relatively close to colleges in Philadelphia, but even closer than that, we've got Westchester University, which is a good school, and Lincoln University really close by, which is another great school. So even though I think space-wise it's going to be a challenge to get that here in the borough, the fact that we've got really good schools within 20 or 25 minutes is a great benefit for the borough. in addition to really strong public, elementary, middle, and high schools here.
Pregunta 7. ¿Cuáles son las novedades sobre el proyecto del transporte público en Kennett Square?
Sure. So this was identified as a need going back, probably more than a year, but really set in motion a year ago with a grant that the borough applied for, got to do what's called a micro transit study. Essentially, it's what would happen if you went from the general model for public transit, which is a big loop, you hop on, you go on to the next spot. What if you did it more like a Uber kind of person driven, where you could put in an app, I need to go from here to there. And you've got sort of a minivan, smaller bus that takes all these little trips. So how would that look? How would it function? What's interesting about the timing of the question is that at our upcoming Wednesday meeting, June 8th, I believe, we're actually going to discuss it. So the consultants that worked on it, they have a report to present. So they'll come before council, the public. You're welcome to be there, 7 p.m. at our new building, 600 South Broad Street. They'll be presenting there and going through, how would it work in practice? They've got little computer models that show the buses and how many trips they would take a day. There's really interesting research on what areas you would include. So would you include the borough plus Kennett Township? Would you go down to Tough Kenneman? Would you go over to Avondale? How big do you make it? And then there's also some cost pieces to it. So how much would it cost for the borough, per resident, etc. And then potential funding models. So where do you get the money to do it? So it's a great question because we're ready to talk about it right now.
Yeah. I think just what I would like to add is I think it's that original presentation that was given to us was just a really helpful way to look at it. And I think it's definitely necessary to have other options for transportation, to get people where they need to be. There's a lot of people who do need to go to pharmacies and the grocery store and things. And I just think it could be a really great addition to the borough and surrounding areas if we could figure out a way to make it work.
Yep. So it's one of those that everyone's in agreement that there's a need there, that there's value there. It's just a question of how do we actually make it happen, which is obviously the challenging part. But yeah, it's right there in the docket to be presented soon.
Ahora pregunta 8. ¿Existe alguna novedad sobre el estacionamiento público que se quiere construir en la calle State Street?
Yep. So we had discussed this previously, but putting in parking arms, I believe that is still something that is upcoming. I believe for the end of June is the aim there. And the goal there is just to be able to fund the parking garage and have money that goes back towards that for repairs and for things that need to get done there. So just day-to-day maintenance. And so, I believe it's $1 an hour is the going rate for the parking garage. And so, getting that work done and getting those pieces put in there, I think will really be a good thing. And I know we want to advertise the parking garage a little bit more. I think it was said previously that people can't find it or it blends in really well. So it's hard to for people to see it coming in from out of town if they've never been here. So getting, more signage up, around town, I think will be really good for people so that they know where they're going and they can easily get in and have a safe place to park. Kind of continuing, we want to have better lighting and things in there so people feel safe at night, just because it is a really good place to park your car. It's safe and secure. And so, just making sure people feel that way and they know how to find it and know how to utilize it.
You're right. I mean, with all that you said, the challenge of our garage is that it's so beautiful and blends in so well that some people can't find it. So it's a good question, or it's a good issue to have in some ways, but we do need to work on it. I think it's just quickly an interesting thing to look at that is different in governmental budgeting versus others, and it's useful for people to know about. So parking fund is separate. So every dollar that goes into a meter, that goes into an arm, if you're paying for parking in the borough, it stays in parking. So it's directly funding, the construction of new garages or the maintenance on existing ones, parking enforcement staff. It stays in that account. Water sewer is the same way. So when you're paying your sewer bill, it's going right back into maintaining that plant that deals with sewer. So, it's kind of a unique setup. And then garbage collection is the same deal. So it really is, everyone pitches in we take that money and we give it to the contractor who provides the service. So, you can feel hopefully some peace with what you're paying on those things because it's a direct payment for what you're getting out of it. Yeah, thank you to Connecticut Radio. Again, this is, it's been a really great series so far. We still have one more. And I think it's just, hopefully it helps to inform staff and council, specifically for what it is that the Hispanic community is looking for out of this borough. We recognize that it's a huge portion of our segment, huge segment of our population that is not always heard. So this is our attempt to directly ask the Hispanic community for input. So I hope that we continue to receive that because we're asking for it. We want it. And to help us do that, if you're watching this video, if you wouldn't mind sharing it with others, try to get other people included in this, try to get other people engaged in this. And don't ever feel hesitancy to reach out to the borough with questions. We're always available to talk, and, or feel free to stop by. I mean, we're here to serve the community, and hope we can do that.
And I, just want to thank you guys for letting us be here. It's been a real honor to get to chat through some of the questions that people have here. And again, if the Hispanic community would like to continue, pitching questions, I think it's a really great opportunity for us to get some answers out there. And it helps kind of open our eyes to things that maybe we hadn't thought about before. The college question was a really great question to have. And so I think, as much as people are willing to continue sharing the videos and participating and being involved with them and engaged with them, I think that's a really great thing. And also, too, we still have, our Borough Council meetings every first Monday and Wednesday of the month. And so, we'd love to have people come out and really support so that way we can hear everybody's thoughts and ideas.
Amigo Latino, gracias por acompañarnos en este quinto podcast de Talking About Kennett Square. Será hasta una próxima entrega.